we didn't get, you don't need a heading because it's still 3.4a. All right. This is what our worksheet 9 is going to look like today. So I want to get through this quick so that I can get you worksheet 9. You can get started. Once we start worksheet 9, if you have test corrections that are due today, I will take them. I got to look through them and make sure everything looks actually correct. If there's something you need to change, then I'll give it back to you and you'll have time before 12:30 to get those corrections corrected. Okay. Those of you who gave me the test corrections yesterday, I put your scores in. I've got your stars ready. I'll get those passed out at the end too. All right. So if you remember yesterday, the first thing we do is identify our y-intercept and our x-intercepts if there are multiple. Where is the y-intercept on this function here? 3. So how can I write that as a coordinate pair? Yeah, Isaac. Parentheses 0, 3. That's right. Where's my x-intercept here? Where does this line cross the x-axis? Robert? -2. How can I write it as a point? Perfect. -2, 0. What am I going to draw at that x-intercept now? A line? What type of line? Parallel line, a vertical line, a horizontal line? That line? What's a line called that goes straight up and down? Vertical. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to draw a line through my x-axis too, a similar line. Now, if you're using pencil, you might not be able to see it, but that's fine. Because now I see I have 4 sections of my graph. I only want to shade in the sections that have my function in them. How many sections contain the linear function that you see here? 2. This section down here and this section up there. Now, which section is my positive interval? This left one here or this right one there? The right one. How do I know that's my positive interval? Oscar? It's in the positive numbers? Perfect. Which positive numbers? Positive x values or positive y values, Oscar? Over here is a -1. That's a negative x value. Positive y values, because it's above the x-axis. That's where all my positive y values are, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to 10 and forever onward after that. So where's my negative interval? Yeah. Under the x-axis. So this whole section down here. So hopefully you can clearly see now that this graph is much bigger than the ones yesterday. I know that was an issue for us. Now that this is much bigger, we can clearly see the part of my line that's up in the air, right? We talked about the birds yesterday. Above the ocean line is my positive interval. Down below the sea, that's my pink negative interval. All right. So let's write an interval here. My positive interval is going to start with x. It's going to have some inequality sign, and it's going to have some number. Who could help me fill out what the rest of this interval is going to look like? X is what? Greater than -2. Matthew, can you help me with the negative interval back there? All right, just the opposite. Fiat, capiche? X is less than -2. With linear functions, these intervals are really, really straightforward. I know that my x-intercept is where my dolphin breaks the surface, where my bird goes down into the water. So I know that my intervals are going to have that x-intercept number. I just have to be careful of what direction is positive and what direction is negative based on the function that I see, right? So any x value more than -2, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is in my positive interval. So my positive interval is the x values greater than -2. Does that make sense? Nod your head yes if that makes sense real quick. Okay. The x values less than -2 would be -3, -4, -5, -6, all the way down. Those are my pink negative interval for my function. So my negative interval is any x value less than -2. Sound good? Okay. Let's drop down. What do we call this shape here again? Parabola. Is that linear or nonlinear? Nonlinear. Was the first one linear or nonlinear? Linear, right? Straight line. If it's not a straight line, then it's not linear. Who could help me out? What's my y-intercept here for this parabola? Yeah. 0, -7. Good. Now, with our positive and negative intervals, the y-intercept doesn't really matter. It will matter later. That's why we talked about it. But for right now, it doesn't matter. Okay? How many x-intercepts do I see? I see 2. Who can help me out? Where's this first one at coordinate-wise? Yeah, Son. Very, very close. Flip it around. -8, 0. Great job. Absolutely right. With my x intercepts, the x value comes first. Levi, what's my second one? 3, 0. Right? So I know when I'm writing my intervals are going to have the numbers -8 and 3 in them because those are my x-intercepts. What am I going to draw at these two x-intercepts again? Vertical lines. Just like that. Bless you. Bless you. I'm going to draw a line through my x-axis too. Now I have 6 pieces of this graph that I just split this into. Up here, we only had 4 quadrants. Here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. All right. I'm only going to shade in the squares or the rectangles that contain my function. So I'm not going to shade in this one. I'm not going to shade in this one. I'm not going to shade in this one. Let's start with this top left rectangle. What color am I going to hit that with? Yellow or pink? Yellow. Does that mean it's positive or negative? Positive. Now we go down here, this little bump down here. What color am I going to hit that section with? Pink. Is that a positive interval or a negative interval? Negative. Finally, I've got this top right section. What color am I going to hit that with? Yellow. Is that a positive interval or a negative interval? Positive. Do you guys remember us talking about compound intervals yesterday? In this nonlinear functions case, is my compound inequality or compound interval positive or negative? Negative. Wherever my bump is on the parabola, that's my compound interval. So this negative section here is between which two numbers on the x-axis? -8 and 3. So my negative interval is going to start with a -8, end with a +3. There's going to be an x in the middle. And what signs am I going to put? Less than signs or greater than signs? Greater than? So like this? Those are greater than signs. No? Less than signs. -8 is less than x, which is less than 3. Here's a fun little thing to hopefully keep in mind. Anytime we write a compound interval, we're always doing less than signs because we put the less than number to the left and the greater than number to the right. We look back to yesterday, right? This compound interval was less than, this one was less than, and this one up here, did we skip this one up here? Yeah, we did because it's ugly, but we'll get to some ugly stuff later. Now, how many different intervals am I going to have for my positive section? 2 completely separate intervals. I know I need to write 2 separate intervals when my 2 yellow sections are not touching each other. They're separate. right? So that kind of mirrors what I'm writing for my interval. The first one I can say is x is, who can help me write this first? Yeah, Baron. Less than -8. Anything to the left of -8 is going to be positive. That's that big yellow section up there. And x is, what's my other interval? Yeah, Janelle? X is greater than +3. Just like that. Last year, I only spent 1 day on this. Everyone was very, very confused all the way up to the test. There was a lot of confusion. So hopefully taking 2 days on this helps. Give me a thumbs up if you understand this better today than you did yesterday. When is our test? That's a good question.